Welcome to Networking with Nathaniel. Oh, Erin is not supposed to be here yet. A podcast where I get to talk to people like Erin, who you shouldn't have been introduced to just yet. Real estate investors, entrepreneurs, business owners, just people that are in a growth mindset who are here to share their stories. I'm Nathaniel Hovsepian, host of Networking with Nathaniel. Go figure. I am a husband, a father, a health and wellness coach for busy dads, and I'm a real estate investor as well. This show is not about me, though. This show is about the amazing guests that I have, one that I am pre-introduced kind of by accident and we'll get to in a moment. But if this is your first time here, if you're here live, please hit the like button. And if you're not already, subscribe to the channel so you can get videos like this pushed right to you every time we go live. Without further ado, my guest today on episode 97 is Erin Puricelli. She has been an entrepreneur for a little while now, going on a couple years in her real estate investing business since partnering up with her partner, Xana, and some other people in her circles. She is making amazing moves. They are doing amazing things in the real estate space, adding to their portfolio, doing flip projects, and just taking the bull by the horns, or whatever the saying is, and really, just hitting the nose, hitting the grindstone. She's also in the health and wellness space as a fitness coach and I'll let her describe exactly what the supplement kind of business is. Without further ado, Erin Puricelli. Oh, I forgot to mention, also my accountability partner, who I get to see every week, and part of the speaker competition that I am in as well, and the winner of the Salt Lake City speaker bonus event thing.
Yeah, whatever Welcome. That was. Thank you. Yeah. Glad to be here. And I was like running in, and I'm like, oh wait, I'm off.
You're on. Yeah. That was unintentional. I say I was going to boot you off, and I didn't boot you off, but
the life of entrepreneurship is just pivoting and working through the little hiccups. I mean, it's just life in general.
Yeah, that is exactly it. I'm going to move my tea so I don't do that.
I was going to ask if your keyboard survived.
The keyboard did survive
yesterday. Okay.
So on our accountability call on Monday, I made the mistake of putting my tea right in front of the keyboard, and I went to reach. I don't think I was actually reaching for the tea. I was reaching for something else and knocked the tea over, and it spilled all over the keyboard, all over the desk. And yeah, it was a catastrophe. But that's not why we're here, to talk about my tea debacle. Tell me, Erin, so your real estate investing, I think it's been 2 years now, something like that?
Almost 2 years, but I met Xana a little over a year ago, and then that's when things really started moving. When we really started, I had a short-term rental property with another partner here in Georgia, but then we didn't have any future plan. She was still working full-time, and I wasn't sure what I was doing. So I went through a divorce and then got connected with the REI Volt community. That's how I met Xana, and that's when things exploded thanks to many mentors.
So it sounds like this first partnership alignment wasn't quite there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're still partners. We still have that property, but it's just all we're really doing together.
Gotcha. It wasn't something like, oh, we're going to grow together, like you and Xana have really come into alignment.
Yeah. And the community we were in really sparked that. Being in the mentorship together, where we were seeing each other, learning the same things at the same time. Me and my previous partner were in Reen, and we just weren't as involved in the communities, and it was a much bigger, broader group, so we wouldn't have seen each other anyway. REI Volt being small made it very accessible to people and more accountability, and I like being a smaller fish.
Yeah, just for everybody out there, what is Reen and what is REI Volt?
Reen was a women's real estate investing network mentorship I had joined back in 2023. Their mentorship did a good job of teaching you the different strategies of investing. I enjoyed more so getting on their Kajabi or their app where you could like listen to recorded calls where they talked about the BRRRR method or buy and hold or being a private money lender. So I like getting the education. I had some, I have a background in construction and mortgage. So a lot of stuff resonated and then a lot of stuff was new. But they didn't really tell us how to run a business.
Gotcha. It's more of the, it's more of the nuts and bolts of investing, not actually being an owner and operator.
And they were still teaching pretty much you got to start as a wholesaler to start.
Okay. And sounds like that's not what you wanted to do.
Yeah, that's not what I wanted to do. I went back and forth with that.
And so you ended up in REI Volt, which is, I'm not really super familiar with REI Volt.
REI Volt was run by Jesse, Chris, Angel, James, and Mark. So you're familiar with Jesse Stanton, James Hostert, a couple other people in that group. And they had like a daily schedule and there were a lot less people involved. So one day was mindset. One day we're talking about transaction coordinating and doing documentation. Other day we might have a general synopsis on how to help people get out of foreclosures or a co-living or how to refinance. One of the calls was about funding and money, the money part of the deals, how to evaluate if you want to invest your money. Xana and I had both done a little bit of private money lending while we were in, because I found out she had been in Ream too, and we would have never crossed paths because it was so big. So we both had done some of the private lending beforehand, and we were ready to own our own properties.
So you meet Xana in REI Volt, and how do you go about figuring out, oh, this is somebody that I should partner up with and do deals with?
Well, it stuck out right away to me that she was a real estate attorney because I am not. I'm the very opposite end of that personality, which I had realized in my first partner as we were talking about things. We had finally met in person and meet up. We were looking for properties. And she said to me, well, I'll do a spreadsheet for that. And I was like, that would be still my heart because I am not doing a spreadsheet. So she's an accountant. Xana is an attorney, more integrator, data type, analytic personalities offset my kind of, ADD, hard for me to focus on one thing, hard for me to sit still kind of personality where I'll take action, I'll go out, I'll be physical, I'll do the things. So I was more of like the support, emotional support part of the business.
Okay.
Outgoing with the media. Neither of my partners were interested in that type of thing. So really finding your opposite. Yeah.
The integrator to the visionary, right? The yin to the yang kind of thing. What about so we have like a work kind of personality dichotomy. What about from like a values standpoint? Were there things that popped out to her or to you about her that you were like, oh yeah, we're on the same page here?
Yes, we were very much on the same page with, our life, our values, our morals. It was easy for us to communicate. We joked around the group and said, you need to date your business partner. So we talked many times over several months before deciding to work together. And we actually had a third partner who was a girl who was here in Woodstock, who was very much my personality. And you put two people like me together and you will get absolutely nothing done. And so we were kind of spinning our wheels and we're like, well, we just need someone done to write the deal. Let's see if it's a good deal. And then we're like, well, let's sit down and practice underwriting. And then we're having tea and then we're having sushi and then we're still talking. And
yeah. And you're coming up maybe unintentionally even with excuses why not to do the thing that you shouldn't be doing anyway, because that's not your strong suit.
And neither of us, yeah. So we had no way to evaluate the deals. We just knew we wanted to buy property. So we brought Xana in and then quickly realized that this third person really didn't have time for real estate. More time for pickleball and, I've got my kids and I'm single. So in short order, we kind of excused her from the group. Timeframes didn't work. You weren't serious about making time. And then Xana works full time as a commercial real estate attorney and has 4 children and was like, when can I'll make myself available.
Yeah. How are you guys juggling that? Because you have, on top of real estate, you have your health and wellness business going on top of also being a coach, for people in a gym, which we'll get to. How are you juggling your schedule? And then how are you guys coordinating for Xana to get her stuff done that she needs to do on top of being the W-2, attorney, mom, wife?
Well, we have revolved it more around her schedule, of course. I have a more flexible schedule. I coach the classes mostly early morning, so they don't interfere with work schedules. I'm up early anyway. So, and we've had to juggle it. She had a break at the beginning of the year where she was off for a couple months in between changing jobs. We hired a VA at that time, and it was good for both of us to kind of have office hours twice a day. We could teach her, we could work together. And then when she went back to work, there was a little bit of a kerfuffle of, I'm not the best manager for Sheena. Xana is very much more targeted and organized and, in control of the task. I just want the checklist and the agenda. I don't necessarily want to be the one that makes it. So we went through some growing pains, and business was growing so much at the same time. We adjusted it. So we moved our daily, and we weren't having daily meetings with Xana anymore. And it just wasn't enough communication for her or our business. So now we have a 5 p.m. call every day. We have a team meeting with our partner, Bob, who's in Macon, 1 day a week. And we've been so busy, he's been jumping on the 5 p.m. call several times a week, just because more going on, more communication.
Yeah, that is it's super important, often not understood, but missed opportunity is keeping that daily communication going. I've seen so many people bring, people into their business and then go, well, why aren't they doing what they should be doing? Well, are you talking to them every day? Like, are you communicating with them what they're doing well, what they're not doing well? Are you giving them support and guidance and, uplifting them? Oh no, we talk like once every couple of weeks. Okay, well,
right. It's like dating your business partner. And we have so much of our lives and business entangled. It is really like a marriage that you've got to have that relationship. And then being opposite personalities, it's forced us to grow, to deal with opposite personalities. I know that I'm not always easy to deal with, and we look things differently. So then learning perspective. So now I can look at things, documents, things going on with insurance. And Bob and I we handle more of the construction acquisition side of things. So we've had conversations where we're like, okay, what would Xana say? How would she look at this?
Yeah. Because
that's not a normal place for me to go. Are we going to get sued? How the documentation need to read? That's not the thing that my brain doesn't work that way.
I have some more questions for you. Before we do that, unapologetic commercial.
If you're a busy dad or one that is looking to focus on their health and their wellness, the Fit Fatherhood community might be just for you. It's said that when we have our health, it frees us up to have many, many goals, but when we don't, we only focus on the one. So we're focused on keeping our health and wellness as a top priority in Fit Fatherhood. We've built this community of busy dads, all like-minded, looking to grow and flourish and be great examples for our families of what health and wellness looks like. So if that's you, or somebody who that might be for, follow the link in the description and come join the Fit Fatherhood Facebook group today. Let's get back to the show.
Okay, so you mentioned with REI Volt that they had different things going on different days. One of them stood out to me that you mentioned is mindset. And how has that played into your journey in real estate, in coaching, in your health and wellness business? Actually, you know what? Before we ask the mindset, what is the health and wellness business that you're working on?
Oh, the health and wellness business is a company called Trant and is a network marketing business. So it is a boutique wellness supplement business. Everything is holistic and it ships. It's made in the USA. Everything ships from their corporate office in Utah. So you're not having to buy a bunch of product and hope that you can sell it and have a spare bedroom full of it. That's super nice that people can buy exactly what they need. I'm 51 at this point. So part of the mindset we'll get into later is I've always loved working out, and that's been an easy thing for me, but I've had to adjust how I work out because of my changes in age and changing my body, what my body likes, the extra stress. So the supplements have helped there a ton. I was using supplements before, but they weren't necessarily working. So it's nice to have a trusted brand where I'm seeing and feeling the physical results pretty quickly. And then trying to help other women that are struggling with the same things.
Yeah. I know you were marketing at Squad Up Summit, this big real estate event that we both went to, whenever that was, a few months back. And the people that I heard that tried the stuff that you were giving them were like, this stuff is amazing. And so the product's kind of speaking for itself in a sense, but you're a advocate for it because it's working for you. How did you find Trant?
Trant. I know it's hard to say.
Yeah.
I was following a girl on social media, attraction marketing. I had probably 3 women that I had been watching for a while. This girl in particular was at one point in Beachbody. I knew a lot about Beachbody, had friends there. I wasn't really interested in their products, but I was attracted to her energy and just like what she was doing, how she was living her life. And the same thing with 2 other ladies. So both of the other ladies were more like affiliates to different brands. And I'm like, I just don't need 17 more subscriptions to all these different places. I can't, like I said, I'm not the accountant. I'm not the spreadsheet person. I have enough trouble keeping up with the finances anyway. I know myself and not trying to keep up with that. So I could get almost everything that I was already doing and some new things all in one place. So she switched from Beachbody to Trant and started talking about inflammation, cortisol, insulin resistance, things that a lot of us are dealing with at this age, with stress, with hormones, with the chemicals that are in our food. And one thing that stuck out was that are you doing everything right? You're working out, you're eating right, and things just aren't moving. They're actually moving in the opposite direction. And for me, I was just feeling really achy and sore all over. And I was stretching and getting a massage and going in the hot tub and Epsom salt. And it was hormones. It was inflammation. And so I'm not a pharmaceutical type person. So I was attracted to the fact that it was holistic. It's something that a lot of it's powder, so you can mix it in your drink and it tastes good. And now we've got electrolytes and creatine and proteins, things that we really need to watch and that we need as we age. Yeah,
I like that. It's supplementing the things that you're already doing. This isn't a replacement for exercise or healthy eating. It's to supplement and to add to the things that you're already doing. To get back to my question now is the mindset stuff. How has that played into your journey, and what are maybe some 1 to 3 things that little change that you've been able to make that maybe somebody out there listening could go, oh, okay, that really hits home for me, and this is what I'm needing to move myself to the next level, to move into that growth phase?
I think mindset is the most important thing. Working on yourself and how you're talking to yourself, how you view life and view business. It's right up there with the communication. It's necessary. And Zan and I even mentioned we didn't realize how much of the mindset stuff was going to come into the mentorship we were in and how much we needed it and we were benefiting from it. And then that we were starting to do it on our own. Couple of things that it has helped. Well, initially we had a rough, bumpy start to our business when our mentor said, take massive action. Even when it's messy, you just need to move forward. We did, and it was really messy. And we had several disappointments up front that were such huge blows. Like it was such a hit to what we were doing. And we started with 3 properties. The lender that was promised to us didn't come through. We had other hiccups. It just was hit after hit after hit. What working on our mindset has taught us is there's no way to avoid the hits. It's just how you react when those things come up. Now we wouldn't have any emotion when it came to that same circumstance. At the time, it was like life shattering. What are we going to do? I'm like, this is the end of it. You know, it was,
Yeah. How does anybody succeed? I got smacked in the face right off the bat.
And you're like, oh, this is just how it goes.
Yeah.
This is how it's going to be. This is entrepreneurship. This is life. This is business. This is dealing with people. So I've got to learn how to manage my emotions and my reactions because this is just Wednesday.
Yeah. Is there anything that you're doing on a daily, weekly, even monthly basis that is helping you to manage those emotions and those ups and downs?
So many things.
Yeah, maybe
so
that's a
many
loaded question. Yeah.
For me, physical activity is helpful. Getting out and walking. I've started getting up a little bit earlier. I already get up early and try to get a 20 to 30 minute walk in before the heat with my dogs. I'm in Georgia.
Yeah.
Just getting flowing, whether it's stretching, walking, weightlifting, the multifunctional classes, that really helps me clear my head. Dancing earlier this morning, I wasn't having a super focused time, and I'm giving myself a little more grace for that because I've been working really long hours. It's okay. You're cooking, take 30 minutes. I put some music on and just danced around and sang in my house, and that just helps me kind of reset.
Yeah.
I've read books, audiobooks. I love Mel Robbins. Let Them. I'm on my second go round with that because I just like Mel. She's easy to listen to. Yeah. I've listened to some other mindset coaches dealing with some of the childhood trauma things that I've been awakened to in the past couple of years, doing on the mindset that just helped me have more self-worth. I really struggled with that for many years and didn't realize because I was extroverted and outgoing and I was always teaching classes and everybody just thought Erin was great because I still was a happy person. I just didn't realize I was handicapping myself by my mind.
It's interesting how different our journeys are, but how similar they are in certain respects. Is that when you say that right now, I've heard you say this 3 to 5 times at this point through the speaker competition and listening to your actual speech when you were performing it, and through us being an accountability partners and also the speech crafting mastermind that we do together with a couple of other people. Hearing your story, this is the first time where I'm like, oh yeah, I was doing the same thing. In high school, I was putting on a show for everybody else when really inside I'm like, I don't want to be so happy. I'm just, dealing with these things, feeling lonerish and all these other things, like not fitting in. So it's interesting that it takes looking back at those things and being able to come into your own and be yourself to actually truly be happy and aligned with, with yourself and the people around you. So interesting. One thing that you mentioned before we started the show was the different groups, the different coaching mentorships that you've been in. And I'll let you say it, but it really aligns with what I just said of hearing you say that thing 5-6 times. And then finally, this was the time that hit. So yeah. Did I say enough there to lead you in?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And I'm glad that you've had that epiphany. I didn't realize it for 49 years, Nathaniel.
Yeah.
And now, like I said, I've heard a couple people say like negative things out loud to themselves. And to me, I'm like, why would you talk to yourself that way? Now it really sticks out because I've been working on it. But we're involved in, 5 or 6 mentorships over the past couple years here because we want to hear different perspectives, different ideas. And with that, we've heard different ways that people do co-living, different ways that people do private money lending, different ways that they feel like this is the main thing you should start with your business. And what Zan and I did then over the course of the year, she did some of them, I did some of them, to divide and conquer is then take bits and pieces from what everybody's teaching us and make it our own. But the common denominator that all of these mentors were talking about was the same, I guess, most important thing or whatever was trending at the time was social media. Everyone needs to get on social media. And then you're hearing it from Pace, you're hearing it from Jesse, you're hearing it from Kathy, and you're seeing all these people do it. Yeah. And then co-living's a place to go. Okay, we've been working to try to get there. How can we get there faster? We need to pivot again, change our focus, because everybody's, and even Jesse, we had worked with Jesse for months where he was talking about getting your ops manager, and then Zen and I were like fighting him through the screen saying, we don't need this. We don't want this. We don't want to do things that way. And then I ended up going to the mastermind last year. We ended up bringing Bob in, who was helping our business. I went to the mastermind they put on last year, and they talked to us again in the VIP about getting your ops manager. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we don't have an ops manager. And it was just hearing it over and over and it just being explained a different way. It clicked. And then we get back, we have a discussion. We're like, oh, well, we kind of already put Bob there.
Yeah. You didn't realize that you
didn't even realize. Yeah. And then, okay, maybe ops isn't what it is. He's more of an acquisitions manager. So again, we took all the bits and pieces, but then made it our own. And then started working with Michael Manatsakanian in Super Investors. And he's got like a part-time CEO. He's made that need for a structured system, different names. So we just got, my business partner's husband's going to step up and be our CFO, which is going to take a huge burden off of her. And it's actually someone who knows that part of the business. It's not going to be bookkeeping. It's going to be, where's this money going? Can we save money here? Can we do this better? Which is great. And then we have an acquisitions manager. Then we have a virtual assistant. So we are building that system and that team, maybe just calling it different things, but we certainly couldn't just do it us two anymore.
Yeah. I got a couple of questions here, but this is a reason why I like listening or reading a lot of different books on similar subjects, is because a lot of the times you'll read, let's just say mindset or sales even. They'll say the same thing, but in 5 or 6 different ways, because you read it across 5 or 6 different books. And maybe it takes 5 or 6 times, or maybe it just is the way one person says something to you that makes you go, oh, that makes total sense to me. And so if we just go one direction, we might be missing out on a lot of the message that one person is saying by not listening to other people and hearing it from their perspective, their point of view, in their wording and in their language, the way they tell it to us. And so that's kind of it sounds like what you've done here. And it doesn't mean that you just have to go, that's my person, whatever they say is it. No, you take bits and pieces and you make it your own. You incorporate your values, you incorporate it into your lifestyle. That's, fit fatherhood is fit fatherhood because we're fitting it into what we have going on. It's not a one size fits all thing. And neither is business and entrepreneurship. Yeah, we share a lot of similarities, but we're bringing our own baggage. We have different day-to-day, week-by-week experiences that we've got to put the pieces together and we've got to make it our own. And you mentioned the adaptability, and that's what entrepreneurship is. It's being adaptable and adjusting and pivoting. And I forget, maybe you used the word pivoting, or I think you did, pivoting, and just like, oh, here's something new coming up right now. I got to be able to adjust and pivot and move to that. So, really aligned. We are accountability partners. What has that meant to you, and why should everybody else have accountability partners?
Oh gosh, let's see. So we were at Squad Up end of March. I don't know, it feels like 6 years ago. Like January was like 3 years, and now everything's just flown by. Like,
yeah.
And I was marketing, my supplements, you had signs and banners, and I was really attracted to the way you were marketing. And because we were starting with the network marketing, we were honing in on that, and it was helping, across the line with both businesses. So when you called to be accountability partners, I was like, great, I can take so much from you. You're so much further ahead of me. And I don't even know if I can bring anything to the table. Like, I had that thought when you asked me. And that's just, I know now that's my issues of not feeling like I'm worthy. And then when we started communicating, connecting, like you said, we had so much more in common than we thought. And who knew that you were struggling with the real estate business and the fit fatherhood business, kind of feeling like you were a fraud or you were having shiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
And I think us coming together and realizing, like, this is who I am as a person. I'm a fit father who fits things into life when they can, with 3 kids and a busy life, who makes a living investing in real estate. So I think us having those kind of conversations helped me more than I could imagine. And then the speech crafting part of it that you helped me with, that became a big part of it, as this speaking contest that we were in basically took over our lives. It was a lot of time and a lot of emotion. And unfortunately, I went through a little more trauma than you did. And you helped me so much deal with the emotions of telling my story and learning things that I didn't know about myself as I'm going through the speech. It was way more emotional than, like we all said, we didn't know that a speaking contest was going to turn into like group counseling.
Yeah. Therapy. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an element of what we've done together as accountability partners that we haven't done well, which is, setting little weekly goals. And there's 2 of us. So we each have our own business. And so say, hey, this is what I'm going to do for the next 2 weeks. The speech competition has taken a lot of kind of priority on our accountability calls, because it's been a big thing, and for each of us growing into that has been I don't want to say difficult, but difficult. It's been a new challenge for us to memorize 10 minutes and to actually put 10 minutes together and not freaking cry and all the things, let your emotions out. To a certain degree, you want to let your emotions out when you're speaking, so it draws everybody in. But, there's certain things that we definitely can do better, especially as we're moving forward. For me, the accountability side of things is like, hey, I said I'm going to do something and you're holding me to it, but then you're also watching all the things that I'm doing and going, hey, check this out. You could have, you did something the other day, which I didn't even expect or never even thought of, is that I made a reel about a kettlebell workout and you said something about my form. I was like, oh man, okay. I literally thought this thing and didn't mention it on the video, and I should have. And so thinking about how I can iterate going forward is like, I have a homie that's looking out for me, right? That's accountability partner, as accountability group, is you have people that are looking out for you. We're all in this together. We were in a speakers competition together and I lost in a sense, right? You won it. I'm freaking excited for you. You get to go. I don't know how long are you speaking? Do you even know yet?
I don't know. Or what?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just figuring out myself.
Yeah. But you're going to get to go speak in front of however many people are going to be at this event. That's really exciting. You deserve it, and that's, I don't know. I lost my train of thought a little bit on that, but yeah, go ahead.
But I would have been equally happy for you. And then we just had a wild card and a couple people got put back in and initially got cut, and it's all like the support and the community there has just been tremendous. And people sharing their stories and their vulnerability has been, wow. A lot of people have gone through a lot of shit. So when you feel bad and you're, as we all can get into a little bit of victim, just know that there's a lot of people who've been through a lot of stuff. And just because you went through something doesn't mean you can't get past it. Yeah.
And that's, I think a lot of people that have been going through this competition are realizing that, that was something that I was struggling with, actually, is because I don't feel like I have that big thing that I went through. That was what my speech was about. And still, when you really look back and reflect, there's a bunch of things that you're going through that you're adjusting and you're pivoting and you're learning and you're changing on. I wanted to ask you, normally people don't have multiple things that they're working on like this. So do you and Xana have it's July 9th right now, so we're halfway through the year. Do you have a year-end goal that you guys are shooting for?
Our year-end goal was, well, actually, I guess March of next year, was to join Owners Club.
Okay.
We're getting mixed reviews from some people that are in Owners Club, some newer, some older. So we're keeping our options open, as I said, pivoting.
Yeah.
We're always, we weren't doing fix and flips. We found a great flip. We're taking it because we have the people, the knowledge, it worked when we evaluated something different. So with this flip, hopefully, fingers crossed, we will have gotten the money for that mentorship. But then we can have the conversations to say, well, let's evaluate more people that are in it. And let's decide if it's really the best thing for us to do for a boatload of money.
Mm-hmm. If I throw my 2 cents in here, not having been in Owners Club, one thing that I have noticed from the people that I've talked to that have negative things to say is they're not freaking all in on Owners Club. And hopefully there's nobody listening that this is just calling them out. Because I've seen so many people just make leaps and bounds in their business and personal lives that have joined Owners Club and just gone, whatever they tell me to do this week, I'm doing this week, and I'm implementing and taking action. And that's something that, myself included, but a lot of people, is we go take a course, watch a video, read a book, and then we don't implement. And I forget how Creighton said it, but knowledge without action, or knowing something without doing, is not actually knowing something. And so you've got to put it into action. So in your research, talking to people, just take that with a little grain of salt, is it?
And us evaluating where we are going to be at that time, if we can clear our schedules to be all in, because for that amount of money for the year, we need to be. And then my business partner has a full-time job and 4 kids. So can she be? I know we've got to travel 4 times out of the year for like a whole week almost at a time. So that's something that's going to require more conversation. So even though we have this big goal, we're reevaluating as we go. And that's probably been one of the best things we could do in business, is reevaluate and be open to new things and new perspectives. Like we were this flip. It just worked. We had a property under contract that had a tenant. That wasn't something that was not in our buy box, but given the price, what was going on, where it was, things aligned until there were too many, damages, and we still at the end pivoted and got away.
Yeah, I think it's probably the biggest reason I didn't join Owners Club, is that I just felt like this point in my life right now, I couldn't go all in on it. And I wasn't going to reap the reward, so to speak, of that investment. I wasn't going to get the return on that investment. And that I just had to take a reflection on myself. Like you just said, I'm reflecting and I'm looking back and saying, am I ready for this right now? Am I going to just go all in on this? And maybe that's a mindset thing and, negative self-talk, whatever you want to say. But I was just honest with myself. No, it's not worth, it's not worth the investment for me. I just know that I'm not going to devote that time to it. I've got other things that are higher priorities for me.
Yeah. And you've got 3 young children.
Yeah.
Which is, Xana's kids at least are older. Her 2 youngest are in they're seniors. So she's got a little more flexibility. It's not as hard on her husband.
Yeah.
But that's a big choice for us. And like you said, we will continue to interview and, build that thing. We do that pretty well. And oftentimes we have very different perspectives. So it gives us, different ways of looking.
On the Trant side of things, are there any goals that you've identified that you'd like to be hitting within the next 6 months?
Definitely gaining more muscle. And I know that's hard at my age. I'm utilizing, I love, like I said, I love checklists and
You're not
agendas,
making them.
just not making them.
Yeah.
So having Chat GPT help me with that is huge. Like, quite honestly, through the past couple weeks of the speaking challenge, I have been eating stuff I normally wouldn't or snacking emotionally. And so
Mm.
having the awareness to catch that, have the conversation with myself, how do we reset? You know, there's all these different little aspects of your business, and this one's getting a little, you know, it's going a little sideways. How do I pull that back in?
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, okay, Chat GPT, let's make 4 days of meal plans. This is what I've got in my fridge. These are the macros I'm trying to hit. These are my goals, and having it right on my counter, looking at those 4 days and checking the things off. Like, that is a way for me to not just mindlessly snack. So how am I going to fix something that the discipline's gotten a little wonky on?
Oh, see, that's good for other people to hear, is that somebody as focused on the health and wellness as yourself and say, hey, my discipline's been lacking. I need to realign here, re-engage.
Love the cookie dough ice cream from Trader Joe's. I mean, and then that's serving. I mean, that's one serving, right?
Yeah. A gallon?
Yeah. Just the small ones. Like, it's just
Oh no, that is why I can't keep that stuff in the house,
I
because I
know.
just
And
will eat the whole darn thing.
yeah, I can't either. So it's not on the
Yeah.
grocery. I'm using ChatGPT now to help with the next grocery list. I save money. I'm more
Mhm.
organized. I'm not buying the crap that I don't need to eat.
Yep. One thing, just ChatGPT trick. If you get an ad, take your ad and say, hey, this is what is on sale this week. So now you're even being a little bit more cost conscious for that. Like, hey, pork loins are on sale. What can I do with that?
I'll get the
And
Trader
so-
Joe flyer, just scan it into ChatGPT.
Yeah. Just take pictures of it, and it'll be able to
There
pull
we
all
go.
that
It's
stuff.
great.
Yeah.
If you could just shop for me, that would be so helpful.
What struggles or like what hurdles do you see kind of getting in your way right now in your real estate business? None is an acceptable answer.
You know, that is, I don't want to say it's going smoothly because there's a lot of moving parts and pieces, but it's going well. And we use Backflip as a lender. They should be giving me their affiliate link for sure.
Yeah.
We have done so many deals with them. They've invited me to speak at their events. We're in the process of 4 or 5 refinances with them right now, one with another company. We're buying 3 properties. We're going through them. So they're on like a text, first name, first call basis. And that has made our life a lot easier, especially once our first big hiccup getting started was with lending and money. So now that we've got a great lending, hard money partner that will go through hoops for us, it just takes a lot of the stress away.
Yeah, that aspect of buying a deal when you do not have that relationship, or that like I can pick up the phone and talk to somebody, can be super stressful.
Very,
sure.
yes.
Yeah. As we're coming up to the hour here, I have some prepared questions that I am asking everybody who comes on Networking with Nathaniel. What is the biggest life lesson that you've learned so far in your young existence, and how did you learn it?
The mindset and the self-worth, it's so important. Like I said, I think it's top of the list. You've got to be constantly working on yourself. And like you said, I do the same thing with entrepreneurial type stuff as I do with like my personal life and things that I've dealt with. I listen to multiple people almost daily, and it's just repeating the same things over and over and over from different ways and different people that are reinforcing something that I was living for so many years of my life unconscious. It's really easy to step back into unconsciousness. So doing that just reinforces the new identity I've created, the new wiring I've created, better boundaries for me, better self-worth. That's something that I'm going to have to work on the rest of my life, in a different capacity, but
What do you
continuing to
mean?
move that forward.
Yeah. What do you mean by boundaries?
I did not have the best boundaries with other people from a young age, like we talked about when we were younger, because I had lower self-worth. I had a lot of friends and I always had a boyfriend because I was looking for others to give me the validation I was not giving to myself.
So you mean like physical boundaries?
More of just people wouldn't treat me great and I would just let them.
Okay.
I wasn't standing up for myself as much. I was tolerating things that I shouldn't have because I guess somewhere deep down unconsciously, I didn't feel like I deserved any better. I was hiding feelings. I was putting up with things. I was making excuses and rationalizing behavior, putting others' needs ahead of mine.
One place where my head goes when I hear boundaries is saying yes to things that we shouldn't be saying yes to, that aren't in alignment with our goals and our purpose and our values. That's something that I've struggled with, and being able to accept that no is a complete sentence and I don't have to justify the no. Now, you got to take that with a grain of salt. If it's your mom's asking for something, you're like, no, mom, sorry.
Right, exactly. Like the circumstance.
Yeah.
But being able to step away and pull myself out of a situation that's not working for me. Had it with some friends I hung out this weekend. There were some things that were a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Think of Mel, let them, and let me determine how long and when I will put myself back in these people's company again. If and when.
Yeah, I love it. What's the most exciting thing you've done lately?
Gosh, not very much.
Oh, come on.
It's been a lot of work. Now, I did go to the lake this weekend and boated around a lot, rode some jet skis around. That was probably just being outside. I love being outside. So the jet skis was probably the most exciting. I did have a lot of naps on the dock, the boat, wherever.
What about giving a 10-minute speech?
The 10-minute speech, that's very exciting. Gosh, very emotional, very exciting. Having to give a speech next week and being told on Monday is pretty exciting.
Was it? Oh, yeah. Gosh, we just talked about that on Monday. It's next week.
Yeah,
that's pretty crazy. Yeah, exciting for like when I hear exciting, I think skydiving, these big things, but it can be talking on a Zoom in front of 30 people and pouring your heart out. That's pretty darn exciting. And that was the night, like it was so exciting. I didn't sleep. I couldn't go to sleep for hours afterwards because I was so up from that. Yeah. And so this is something from the mindset that I have been working on over the past, 12, 18 months, is looking back and being grateful and being excited about the things that have been happening. Right? Like, I don't want to go too much into that because this is about Erin, but yeah, just reframing the things that we can be excited about is really powerful.
And I'm easily entertained. So
yeah, if you could have dinner with anybody throughout history, living, dead, who would it be and what would you want to talk to them about?
There are so many because I am kind of in the moment person. Right now, the first person that popped into my head was Mel Robbins because I'm rereading her book, Let Them. And I know that she came from a place where they had a lot of debt. She was drinking too much. She knew that she wanted to get out and talk, but she was overthinking it to death and was not giving herself the worth she deserved. So I would want to talk with her because I'm, going through some of that process and just ask her, what it was that kept her moving and motivated.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Being in the present and reflecting on what is going on now is probably pretty darn valuable. I haven't really actually. I've asked this question to a lot of people, and I haven't really thought about it myself. Somebody early on said somebody in their family tree. I think whoever came over from America or to America. I thought that was really interesting. Like,
Oh, that is
what did it
interesting.
take? Yeah, what did it take to get here? What was all the the trials and tribulations, and thinking from a family history perspective. I, I think I saved it. I saw this story this morning where they did a study back in the 1870s or something like that. They found this guy, and he was a criminal, and they went and traced his lineage back 3 or 4 generations to his great grandfather, who had 11 kids of his own, and then they had a bunch of kids, and like 90% of his family tree were all criminals and prostitutes and murderers.
Oh
And
gosh.
then the same in the same city at the same time as this great grandfather, another guy who was I think they said he was a lawyer, had a bunch of kids, about same amount of kids, and their kids all ended up being senators and doctors and lawyers. And it was just like the effects that
Wow.
we have, the things that we're instilling right now aren't just ours and our kids. They're going to go down generationally. And how can we affect the history, the future of our family? And I thought from that perspective, having that conversation is pretty interesting. I really deviated there a little bit, but
That's okay. But I love that to me, I think of like celebrities and people that I've listened to podcasts, that kind of stuff. I didn't think about even my family.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I wouldn't have either. And then I think it was Briggs. I think it was episode 1. It was the very first episode. And I was just like, oh, I thought it was going to be Gandhi or something. That's the way I always think about. Yeah. You mentioned, Mel Robbins, the book, Let Them. And you mentioned, podcasts that you listen to. Are there any other books that have really moved the needle for your business, for your mindset, or that you're just, interested in?
Oh gosh. Jamie Kern Lima wrote a book, Worthy. Fantastic
Worthy?
book. Worthy.
Okay.
A really good read, and examples of how, she eats very differently than her mother-in-law. And she goes through a story how she's made some brownies or something and she wants to eat it, but her mom eats like salmon and veggies, the mother-in-law. And she's like having this whole dialogue in her head about her eating this thing, and then what the mother-in-law is going to think and what she's going to say, and like plays out this whole, and then eventually she like eats one, and nothing like the mother-in-law doesn't say anything. So she worked herself all the way up over this stuff, and how she was just doing that in so many aspects of her life, and just making her life so much more difficult than not worrying about what everybody thinks all the time, or thinking they're going to do something so you change your behavior. That book was helpful. And I'm looking at a new book that they introduced to us at our social media, at our network marketing meetup, which was Activate Your Impact. So it's more of a faith-based book, and marketing and living more of a way to attract the people that you want to help and lead, things like that. So that's next on our list. I listened to one of her podcasts. It was really good on Spotify.
Activate Your Impact. Just so is it worry or worthy?
Worthy.
Okay, sweet. That's what I thought. What's the best place for people to reach out to you, Erin, to either learn more about Trant, bring you deals? I guess we didn't actually even talk about, where are you buying?
We are buying in Macon, Georgia, and around the Atlanta area.
So if anybody's got any deals out in those couple cities,
yeah, or around Atlanta, we're looking for pad splits. For me, the best point of contact is Facebook. I know I'm old school. Messenger there is the best place to reach me. I check that the most often, for sure.
Okay. Yeah. That link will be in the description. When your time on this earth is done, Erin, and you're, God willing, up in heaven, what do you want to be remembered for by the people that you've left behind?
I think just being positive energy. Someone that when I walk into a room, people feel peace, no stress, bringing the good vibes.
Mm.
That's what I want to be to everything.
Yeah, and genuine good vibes, not
Genuine,
not the cheerleader.
Yeah, the real vibe, the real
Inside
cheerleader
joke. Ish. It's been a pleasure having you on. I knew it would be. I've appreciated our friendship, our accountability, our collaborations, and there's more to be done there on that note. Any parting words for anybody who's listening live or in the future here?
No, I would just say that, getting someone that's, having a business partner that is the opposite of you, but then having an accountability person that has a lot of the same personality traits and goals, it was much more needed than I realized. So I would encourage people to get in the groups, the communities, the accountability partners, different accountability groups, just those different perspectives.
Yeah, I second that. I agree. I've appreciated it, and it was more needed than I thought as well. We've talked business and personal a lot and been able to grow in both aspects. So I appreciate you being here. If you could hang out for a little bit to make sure that the recording gets all the way uploaded, I would appreciate that. I will see you in a minute.
All right, sure thing.
Erin Puricelli, everybody. What a pleasure having her on. I do get to talk to her. I'm lucky I get to talk to Erin every week. Right now, I get to talk to her for an hour every week because we are doing an accountability call and a speech mastermind together, if you will. Announcement: open office hours is no more. Sorry if you've been waiting to join and this was your week that you were going to join, but I'm no longer doing open office hours for just general purposes. I'm focused on fit fatherhood now and helping more busy dads realize their potentials in their faith, in their families, and in their fitness through nutrition and mindset and movement and all the things that go into having a complete and whole life. And I am repurposing the office hours time for that. So that is no longer a thing. I appreciate y'all for being here live and in the future. If you have not done so already and you've enjoyed the content and you've enjoyed some of the previous stuff, please subscribe to the channel and like the show. If you can think of anybody who is in that growth phase who could use what Erin is talking about, share this episode with them so they can learn and they can grow alongside of us. Appreciate y'all for being here. Later.